Support WrestleTalk!
Follow us on Twitter.
Going by this past Monday Night Raw, it would seem that the relationship between Paul Heyman and his client Brock Lesnar is over. Or at the very least, it will be over by the time SummerSlam is in the history books. But that doesn't mean it will be the end of Heyman in WWE. So who could be the next Paul Heyman guy or girl? And before you ask, no, we're not going to suggest reuniting Heyman with Curtis Axel. Yeah, remember when Curtis Axel was a Paul Heyman guy and he feuded with Triple H? Anyway, here are 8 shocking WWE stars Paul Heyman could team with next. Number 8, Roman Reigns. Now, surely Roman has got to beat Lesnar this time, right? It's believed that SummerSlam will be Lesnar's last match with the company. WWE will obviously need a new champion, and if Reigns loses again, it will be the 5th time in a row he has failed to beat Brock. I mean, surely that would be the final nail in Reigns' coffin. As we saw on last week's Raw, tension seemed to be running pretty high between the Beast and his advocate Paul Heyman. So what if Heyman were to cost Brock the match at SummerSlam, thus swapping his allegiances to Roman Reigns, just so he can be the manager of the top guy after Brock is gone? This would be fully in character, as Heyman is one of the biggest suck-ups in the company and will do anything to remain at the top. The problem with this, of course, is that WWE still sees Roman as the top guy to build the company around as a babyface, and to be honest, he doesn't really need someone to speak for him. It would only really work if Reigns turned heel, and that doesn't appear to be happening anytime soon. However, if Roman were to turn heel, this pairing could be the new unstoppable force in WWE. Number 7, Kevin Owens. And speaking of people who will do anything to try and get back to the top, WWE's resident Braun Strowman punching bag would be an ideal candidate for someone like Heyman. Since his pretty underwhelming Universal title loss, Owens spent 2017 either feuding with AJ Styles in the midcard or having a never-ending feud with Shane McMahon. But a partnership with Heyman could be exactly what he needs to start that fire again. Imagine if he beats Braun at SummerSlam and gets the briefcase. Heyman could then latch onto Owens, convincing him of his master plan to cash in at exactly the right time. In many ways, this is more likely than Reigns, as Owen already plays a wonderfully slimy heel that would match up nicely with the character Heyman has built up over the years. It also plays into the storyline of Stephanie McMahon seemingly picking Baron Corbin over Owens as Raw's constable. Most importantly though, it would show Owens that WWE care about his future in the company, because the moment you're a Heyman guy, you're pretty much the guy. Unless you're Curtis Axel or Ryback, of course. Number 6, Braun Strowman. Although Owens being the next Paul Heyman guy would require him to win the Money in the Bank briefcase from Braun Strowman. And what if Heyman simply switched the Beast for the monster among men? Raw is a bit short of monster heels at the moment, as in they don't have any, and turning Braun back into that unstoppable heel would be a better use of him than having him push portable toilets off stages. Braun doesn't exactly need Heyman, but Vince will want a giant for Roman to conquer at WrestleMania, so I guess it sort of makes sense. Number 5, Samoa Joe. Although Heyman is probably still terrified of Joe after last year's feud leading into Great Balls of Fire, the two could be a match made in wrestling heaven. Joe is a natural bad guy, and if anyone is going to be his manager, why not make it another natural bad guy? Although Joe is a great talker, and in that sense he wouldn't need Heyman cutting promos for him. But seeing the pair strut down the ring together would be an intimidating sight. CM Punk was one of the best promos in the whole business, but his partnership with Heyman was magic. The thing that's great about Heyman guys is that everyone immediately takes them seriously, unless you're Curtis Axel or Ryback. And although it's not like Joe is seen as a jobber, he is yet to capture a title on the main roster. Due to injuries and a lack of foresight, WWE didn't capture on the fire Joe had last year. Of course, this could change at SummerSlam if he beats AJ Styles for the WWE Championship, and if he were to win, this could be even more reason for Heyman to want to team up. Number 4, Mike Kanellis. Nah, not really. We don't need another Curtis Axel situation on our hands. Would be shocking though. Number 3, Shinsuke Nakamura. Nakamura's heel turn has been one of the best in modern WWE history. Low blow after low blow didn't just make an impact on AJ's phenomenal testicles, it made a significant impact on Shinsuke's character. He's now able to have a bit more personality rather than just being the kicking bloke with funky music. And actually, although he says very little, his one-line promos have been one of the best parts of his gimmick. However, if WWE wanted someone for Heyman to help in terms of promos, why not Nakamura? Let Heyman do the talking and Nakamura do the kicking, and you've got yourself a recipe for success. Number 2, Ronda Rousey. Brock Lesnar, an unstoppable force in WWE and a former UFC fighter. Ronda Rousey, an unstoppable force in WWE, unless you're Alicia Fox, and a former UFC fighter. Feel like there's a similarity there, but I can't quite put my finger on it. The Alicia Fox thing, isn't it? With the women's evolution in full swing, wouldn't it make sense for Heyman to align himself with a female star for the first time? And wouldn't someone like Heyman want to align himself with the most dominant force on the roster? Despite surpassing any in-ring expectations many would have had of her, Ronda remains a pretty weak promo. And you know who isn't a weak promo? Paul Heyman. It could be a very similar idea to that of Brock, where Heyman comes out, hypes Ronda to the stars and makes her feel utterly unstoppable. Of course, she's already doing pretty well for herself, but there would be no harm in having her team with Heyman to reach further heights. The downside of this, of course, is that Ronda is on fire as a babyface, and an alliance with Heyman could make her seem like a heel. So what we really need here is a former UFC fighter who WWE can bring in as a heel and put with Heyman to instantly establish themselves as a star and an unstoppable force. How about number 1, Matt Riddle? The current Evolve champion is rumored to be WWE bound. CZW advertised a show featuring Riddle's final independent date before he went to the Big E. Matt Man podcast are claiming he'll be in the crowd for NXT TakeOver Brooklyn, and Dave Meltzer noted on Twitter that Riddle might have signed a 3-year deal. But what if WWE decided to bypass Riddle from NXT, similar to AJ Styles, and move him straight to the main roster on the Raw after SummerSlam? Picture this. Roman holds the belt and issues an open challenge to show he's a fighting champion. Paul Heyman answers and brings out Matt Riddle. The King of Bros then dominates and wins the Universal Championship on his first night in the company. It would instantly make Riddle a main event guy, and the Brooklyn crowd will go crazy for him as he's one of the top guys on the independent scene. Boom, you've now got yourself a top heel on the Raw brand, and Heyman is his advocate. But those are just some of our suggestions. Who would you like to see be the next Paul Heyman guy or girl after Brock Lesnar? Let us know in the comments below. We've got other opinions here on WrestleTalk, so click the videos on screen right now to check those out. I've been Luke Owen, and that was wrestling.